At exactly 9:04 a.m. London time, the royal website quietly changed. One name missing, then another. And suddenly, Meghan Markle's worst fear had come true. Prince William had removed Archie and Lilibet from royal representation. No press release, no explanation, just silence. But behind the scenes, chaos. Meghan's fury exploded across Montecito. Phones rang through palace corridors, and Prince Harry, caught between duty and rage. What triggered William's drastic move? And how did Meghan respond in a way that rocked the firm to its core? This wasn't just royal drama, this was personal, and it's only just begun. Shocker in the royal line. It all began on June 23, 2025, just after 10 a.m., when a quiet internal memo was leaked from inside Clarence's house. What it revealed sent shockwaves across both royal and media circles. Prince William, now firmly positioned as the heir apparent, had allegedly approved a royal adjustment plan, one that would reduce the size of the working royal family, starting with Meghan and Harry's children. Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, while legally retaining their spots in the succession order, would no longer be included in public duties or state representation. By 10:42 a.m., the media storm had begun. The decision had been in the making for months. William's vision of a streamlined monarchy included only those actively serving the crown within the UK. That meant himself, Catherine, and their 3 children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. The exclusion of Archie and Lilibet was not personal. According to palace insiders, it was strategic. With over £86 million spent annually on royal operations, William believed only working royals should carry official titles. Still, stripping the Sussex children of their HRH styles under a future reign was viewed as a cold and calculated move. The announcement, though quiet at first, quickly turned into an international flashpoint. In less than 4 hours, major headlines were published by BBC, Sky News, and the Daily Mail, all pointing to the same narrative. William's camp was moving forward without consulting Harry or Meghan. Critics were quick to point out the emotional weight of this decision. Archie is now 6, Lilibet just 4. Both were granted titles in 2023 following Queen Elizabeth II's death, under King Charles III's letters patent. But William, looking ahead, saw no role for them in his future reign. By the end of the day, the royal household had gone into full containment mode. Official palace responses were short and vague. "No changes have been finalized," one spokesperson said. But the damage was already done. Royal historians noted that this was the boldest reshaping of the monarchy since the 1992 Windsor shake-up. And unlike previous moves, this one involved children, innocents caught in the web of power, protocol, and past wounds. The question now wasn't whether Meghan would react, but when. While Buckingham Palace remained silent, and William continued with his public duties far across the Atlantic in Montecito, the news finally landed at Meghan's doorstep. It wasn't a headline she read, it was a message from a trusted friend in London. The moment she saw her children's names in that context, everything changed. And behind the walls of their California estate, Meghan's calm exterior began to crack. She had been blindsided, and what followed was nothing short of explosive. Meghan's private meltdown. Inside her Montecito home, Meghan Markle stood frozen, phone in hand, as the message flashed across her screen. It was 5:17 a.m. in California, and while the rest of the household slept, Meghan's world tilted without warning. The words were clear. William is moving to block the children's royal roles. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. Not yet. But her eyes narrowed. Her posture changed. and the quiet fury building inside her began to rise. By sunrise, her inner circle had been alerted. Calls were made. No one was going back to sleep. Sources close to Meghan say she felt betrayed. Not just by William, but by the institution she once tried to serve. After stepping back from royal duties in January 2020, she and Harry had expected their children would at least retain symbolic recognition. The HRH titles had been granted in March 2023 under Charles's approval. But William's new plan would render those titles meaningless. It wasn't just exclusion from duties, it was erasure from the fabric of royal identity. Meghan believed the move was personal, not political, and she wasn't wrong. Within 24 hours, Meghan's legal team had begun quietly drafting strategy memos. Could titles be contested? Could British constitutional precedent be challenged from the outside? Meanwhile, Harry, still in London on a private visit, had yet to comment. Meghan felt cornered, and in her mind, there was only one way out: to fight. That day, she took a call from a key U.S. network producer, hinting at the possibility of a sit-down. "If they want silence," she said, "they're not going to get it this time." By evening, the palace press office was already bracing for impact. While Meghan hadn't gone public yet, her moves were obvious to insiders. PR advisors warned William that the fallout could be historic. After all, Meghan was not one to retreat quietly, not when it came to her children. The Duchess of Sussex had faced storms before: tabloid lies, family betrayals, even royal exile. But this time, it was different. This time, they were coming for her children's birthright. And that she could not allow. While Meghan's inner circle prepared for battle, back in London, Harry received the news face to face. He had just arrived at Clarence House for what was meant to be a quiet catch-up with his father. Instead, he was met with briefing folders and a cold explanation. He barely spoke during the meeting. But once he left that room, he made a single call: to Meghan. And in that moment, the couple knew they were stepping into another royal war they never wanted. Harry's cold awakening. When Prince Harry walked into Clarence House at 3:06 p.m. on June 23rd, he had no idea what was waiting for him. He thought it would be a simple debrief with his father before flying home. Instead, he was handed a packet of documents, summary notes on William's revised royal structure. It took him less than 5 minutes to understand what was happening. Archie and Lilibet weren't just being trimmed out of working roles, they were being strategically sidelined, quietly, and with zero input from him. Harry didn't speak for a full 10 minutes. Aide after aide tried to soften the blow. "Nothing has been finalized," one said. "There's still room for adjustment," another added. But Harry saw through the spin. The truth was clear. His brother had made this decision without warning, without respect, and without a shred of brotherly consultation. The tension in the room became suffocating. By 3:31 p.m., Harry was out the door, and his relationship with the firm had taken yet another hit. The call to Meghan was short and direct. "It's worse than we thought," he said. "They're cutting them out, completely." Meghan, already reeling, grew quiet on the line. "So they're doing to our kids what they did to us," she finally replied. That night, their legal teams coordinated. Memo drafts became action points. Meghan reached out to U.S. rights groups. Harry began compiling correspondence, and a plan started forming, one that would ensure the public heard their version of the story before the palace defined it for them. By June 24th, whispers in the press turned to headlines. "Sussex is furious after title shock," one outlet wrote. "Prince Harry blindsided by royal brother," another added. Inside the palace, aides scrambled to contain fallout. But it was too late. The Sussexes had been pushed too far, and the battle lines were drawn once more, not just between brothers, but between two royal futures colliding in public. Meghan's private fury turned strategic. By June 25, 2025, Meghan's silence broke, but not through a press conference or a screaming headline. It began with a carefully worded email sent from her team in Montecito to Buckingham Palace's communication office. It was short, but sharp. The message questioned the constitutional grounds of removing HRH protections from Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, born in 2019 and 2021, respectively. Though phrased politely, the subtext was unmistakable. This wasn't over. Meghan wasn't pleading. She was preparing. That same morning, her legal representative contacted the UK-based law firm that previously advised the couple during the 2020 Brexit negotiations. Internal emails began referencing the 2022 letters patent, signed by King Charles III, which formally granted the children their royal styles. Meghan's team believed William's move was not just ethically wrong, it could be legally challenged. Meghan also contacted a respected international children's rights NGO, citing concern about the long-term emotional impact of public exclusion based on heritage. By the evening of June 25th, insiders revealed Meghan had begun drafting a potential open letter, not to the monarchy, but to the British public. She wanted it to be emotional but factual, powerful but not angry. Her goal? To reframe the conversation, to remind the world that Archie and Lilibet were not political figures, but children, real innocent children, ages 6 and 4, who had already suffered public scrutiny. Meghan's pain was real, but now, so was her strategy. Meanwhile, her team quietly consulted with 2 former political aides from the Obama administration. Their advice: don't strike first. Wait until the palace fumbles its next move. Meghan agreed. She paused public appearances, skipped scheduled Zoom sessions, and focused solely on her children and this looming battle. In her Montecito home, the Duchess of Sussex was no longer reacting. She was planning, methodically, emotionally, and with an iron will only motherhood could sharpen. While Meghan laid the groundwork in California, back in London, William remained characteristically calm, or so it seemed. But palace aides noticed a change. For the first time in months, internal schedules shifted. Private security meetings were called. William wasn't just dealing with public criticism. He was bracing for war. And at the center of it all was his own brother, Prince Harry, whose silence was about to end in a very public and very personal way. Harry breaks his silence. It was the evening of June 26, 2025, when Prince Harry made his first move. In a joint video statement posted to the Archewell Foundation's YouTube channel at exactly 7:30 p.m. GMT, Harry appeared alone. The tone was restrained but firm. "My wife and I have remained silent for as long as we could," he began. "But the events of this past week involved not just us, but our children." He didn't name William, but he didn't have to. Every viewer understood. Harry went on to emphasize that while the monarchy had the right to define its structure, it also had a duty of fairness. "When you take something from a child," he said, "especially a birthright linked to identity and legacy, you must ask, what are you giving them in return?" The video lasted under 6 minutes. But in that short span, over 1.4 million people watched it in real time. Twitter exploded. Instagram Reels broke 200,000 views within 45 minutes. Meghan didn't appear in the video, but her fingerprints were visible in every word. Behind the calm tone was clear frustration. Harry's closing sentence landed like thunder. Our children did not ask to be royal, but if you strip them of the dignity that comes with their heritage, then you strip them of more than titles. You take away their place in history. It was calculated, it was heartfelt, and it made headlines from London to Los Angeles. Back at Buckingham Palace, emergency meetings stretched into midnight. Charles III reportedly spoke with William twice that night, urging restraint. But William, while respectful, refused to retract his intentions. "I won't bend the future to avoid short-term discomfort," he reportedly told a senior advisor. The brothers hadn't spoken directly in over 6 weeks, and after Harry's video, it became clear they wouldn't be speaking anytime soon. With both sides now standing firm, the tension between the Sussexes and the palace deepened. But what caught everyone off guard was what came next. Not a fiery speech or legal filing, but an old voice from within the firm. A woman who knew both brothers before the spotlight, before the scandals. Their former nanny, Maria Teresa Turrion Borrallo, broke her silence. And when she spoke, she didn't take sides. She simply told the truth about the heartbreak she witnessed behind closed doors. The nanny who knew too much. Maria Borrallo had been with the royal family since 2014. Hired when Prince George was just 8 months old, she became a quiet fixture in the household. For nearly a decade, she saw more than most aides, more than most relatives. But it was her connection with the Sussex children that truly shaped her decision to speak. In a surprise private interview on June 28, 2025, she shared her thoughts, not on politics, but on children. And what she said stunned everyone. "I don't speak often," she began, "but I watched these children grow up. I've seen George hold Archie's hand at Sandringham. I've watched Lilibet giggle in the gardens with Charlotte. This isn't about protocol. It's about family. And families don't exclude children because of adult disagreements." Her voice cracked. The emotional impact was undeniable. This wasn't a political statement. It was a caregiver's plea. And it hit the public like a wave of truth in a sea of spin. Maria didn't comment on William's motives or Meghan's reaction, but she confirmed what many had speculated, that Archie had once asked, "Why can't I wear the gold pin like Louis?" And that Meghan, trying to explain, had cried that night. Her brief recollection offered more insight than weeks of tabloid noise. For the first time, the public saw the emotional fallout not from strategy, but from a child's perspective. It shifted the conversation overnight. The next morning, hashtags like #LetThemBeRoyal and #Justice for Archie Lilibet began trending. Public sympathy surged. Even longtime monarchy supporters began expressing doubt. Had this gone too far? Was the future of the crown worth the pain of 2 small children? Inside the palace, a new problem had emerged. Not legal, not political, but deeply human. The image of a broken family was now impossible to ignore. And Maria's words had shattered the illusion of unity once and for all. Charles caught in the middle. By June 29, 2025, King Charles III had been pulled directly into the growing royal firestorm. Inside Clarence House, at exactly 8 a.m., he met with his closest advisors, reviewing the details of William's plan. The king had previously approved titles for Archie and Lilibet back in March 2023, based on precedent and tradition. Now he was being asked to stay silent while his eldest son reshaped the monarchy's future and his grandchildren's place within it. Charles understood the stakes. He had lived through scandals, divorces, and the loss of Princess Diana. He remembered the public backlash in 1997. when the royal family was accused of being cold and unfeeling. Now, decades later, he feared repeating history. One aide overheard him say quietly, "If the public turns on us over the children, it won't be because of policy. It will be because of perception." Behind closed doors, Charles made a rare move. He contacted Prince Harry directly. The two spoke via secure line around 2:45 p.m. It was a short call. Charles expressed sympathy but gave no promises. He asked Harry for patience. "Let me manage William," he reportedly said. But Harry wasn't convinced. Meghan had already told him this was about erasure, not efficiency. And Charles's hesitation was only confirming their worst fears. Even inside the palace, opinions split. Queen Camilla supported William's efforts, calling them necessary for modernization. Princess Anne respected the decision but warned that once children are made the face of division, public sympathy would shift. Some insiders believed Charles hoped to delay the fallout until after autumn 2025, when public support was higher. But the truth was unavoidable. His family was splitting apart again, and this time it was the next generation who would suffer most. The memo that sparked panic. The leak happened early on July 1st, 2025. It came from an internal royal transition document and was published in the Sunday Times before breakfast. Buried in a section labeled Succession Clarification Protocol, one line stood out: Archie and Lilibet were excluded from future ceremonial representation. That meant their names would no longer appear in royal press kits, state events, or family summaries moving forward. Though technically still 6th and 7th in line to the throne, the children had just been erased from visibility. The press erupted. Sky News called it symbolic removal. BBC chose the term soft exile. And in Washington, D.C., the story hit American networks like a freight train. On CNN, one anchor called it the most public act of quiet revenge the firm has ever pulled. The fallout was immediate. Legal experts clarified only Parliament could legally remove someone from the succession line. But William's move wasn't legal. It was optical. It reshaped public perception without requiring Parliament's approval. Meghan and Harry saw it clearly. This was not a legal attack, but a reputational one. Their children were being frozen out, one carefully crafted statement at a time. By that evening, Meghan's legal team had begun documenting every title change, press omission, and timeline. She called it a quiet paper trail of erasure. Inside the Sussex Montecito home, emotions ran high. Meghan reportedly told a friend, "They want our children to disappear from the monarchy, but not from the media." And that, she said, was unforgivable. William defends his vision. It was July 3, 2025 in Bristol, when Prince William stepped onto a public stage during a youth initiative and shocked the world by addressing the controversy directly. A reporter asked about the exclusion of Archie and Lilibet. William looked directly into the camera and said, "I stand by decisions that serve the monarchy's future. Royal status must reflect service. We honor heritage, not headlines." He didn't mention Harry or Meghan by name, but the message was unmistakable. William was building a monarchy rooted in duty, not birthright. He referenced the 2011 civil list reforms, hinted at future funding cuts, and doubled down on his streamlined vision. Only those serving the crown should represent it. Archie and Lilibet, he implied, lived outside that commitment. The backlash was swift. In the UK, older royal loyalists praised William for being bold. But in the United States, criticism soared. Royal rejection and Archie and Lily matter trended for 48 hours. Celebrities, activists, and media figures questioned whether the move reflected discrimination or punishment. In Montecito, Meghan watched the broadcast and whispered to her team, "He's trying to write them out of history." Inside Kensington Palace, William refused to back down. Aides said he believed this was about clarity, not cruelty. "The monarchy is not a playground," he said in a closed-door meeting. But for Meghan, the children's future was not political. It was personal, and she wasn't about to let her family become a royal afterthought. Her next move would be her boldest yet, a direct message to the world, in her own voice. Meghan's final word. On the morning of July 5, 2025, The Washington Post and The Times UK published Meghan Markle's on letter. It was emotional, precise, and unflinchingly honest. "I write this not as a duchess," she said, "but as a mother. My children are not pawns. They are not leverage. They are little hearts with big dreams." In 1,186 words, she recalled Archie's joy on his 6th birthday. She described Lilibet's bedtime questions about why we don't get to go to the palace. She explained how difficult it was to tell her children they weren't included, not because of their character, but because of control. Titles can be removed, traditions can shift, but dignity lives in the soul, she wrote. The public responded fast. Hashtags like #LetThemBeRoyal trended globally. Figures like Oprah Winfrey and Michelle Obama shared the letter. Meghan didn't beg for sympathy. She demanded respect. She asked the public to look beyond politics and see two children growing up between two worlds, one that loves them and one that resents their existence. Inside the palace, the letter caused unease. Charles stayed silent. Camilla called it too emotional. But Catherine reportedly said nothing. Privately, insiders whispered that she understood Meghan's pain. After all, she too was a mother. And in this royal war, the battlefield wasn't just about power. It was about childhood, legacy, and truth. So now, the world watches a monarchy cracking under its own weight. Prince William made his move, cutting Archie and Lilibet out of ceremonial royal life, sending a clear message. Only those loyal to the crown will represent it. Meghan, in turn, broke the silence with a mother's fury, penning a heartfelt open letter that pulled global sympathy straight to California. Behind palace walls, King Charles stands in the crossfire. Harry, once the loyal spare, now sees his children treated as outsiders. And the real question? How far will Meghan go to protect their legacy from royal erasure? Because this isn't just about protocol. It's about identity, childhood, and who gets to be part of history, and who gets left behind. Will the royal family respond? Will Parliament intervene? Or will this battle unfold quietly? One title, one appearance, one whispered decision at a time. Let us know what you think. Was William right to reshape the monarchy for the future? Or did he just spark a royal war that no one can control? Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because this story is far from over. The crown may be firm, but family, that's where it always breaks.